course, the week of my wedding, Nurgle would see fit to strike me down with an illness, so I apologize for my voice. I don't have time to wait for it to recover like I would want to, so I'm going to sound a little bit strange in the next few videos as I'm trying to pre-record content for when I'm going to be gone for my honeymoon. Yes, that's right, I'm getting married. If you're watching this on the day it comes out, it's this Saturday, the 30th of September. I'll have a special video for you guys on that day. It'll be Warhammer related, but anyway. For today's video, instead, we're going to see no Nurgle, but Beastmen and Tzeentch. So it should be in for a very interesting time. The clash of Zangors, perhaps. No, Goreherds for the Beastmen. And Harpies up in the air. We've got Centaurs with throwing axes as well. 3 of them. Brazen Goreherd and some Minotaurs with great weapons. 2 of each. Brace Shaman Lord of Wild and 1 of Beasts. And Morgur, the Shadow Gave. So very interesting choices here all around. We've got Zangors on the side of Tzeentch, of course. 4 of them as a front line, 5 even. Aecold here as a hero. We've got Screamers and Furies up in the sky. Looks like, 3 Screamers, 2 Furies in total. Kairos Fate Weaver as well. And a nasty, nasty Mutalith Vortex Beast. Let's get things rolling as the Beastmen take a little bit of an aggressive vanguard. They're not going all in right away, but keeping their units all in support of each other, not over-rushing or overextending any one thing, which is definitely smart. Tzeentch player does put the Mutalith Vortex Beast a little bit far forward here. It's got to be careful of those Beastmen Minotaurs, of course. Minotaurs, great weapons. Unfortunately, Beastmen do not currently have access to the Khorne Minotaurs, which they definitely should. I mean, if they're going to get Zangors, might as well give them the Khorne Minotaurs as well. Maybe give them the marks system that Warriors of Chaos currently have so that their marked units are more limited. Anyway, Mutalith Vortex Beast going to get into a nice combat here as the rest of the front line engagement gets underway. The Zangors will trade pretty well into the Goreherds because of the difference in armor and stats for relatively less cost. I mean, they obviously more cost, but not too much more, I guess is how I should phrase that. We're going to see some summons here as well from Lore of Beasts. A Feral Manticore gets pulled up. Not that Viletide, I mean, it's certainly the best spell. I don't know if he even ended up bringing it, but this blob right here with all the Screamers and Furies, one Viletide would, or Traderkin rather, not Viletide. Traderkin would actually just kill all of these units. So if he has it available, now would definitely be the time. Unfortunately for the Minotaurs, they end up getting kind of worn down there by the supporting Zangors and Aecold, not able to do a crazy amount of damage to the Mutalith, not to mention its healing, of course, from regrowth. Combination of regrowth from Kairos, his own Lord sniping, and then, of course, Mutalith's AoE drain and massive HP pool. Such a strong synergy. Probably the Mutalith needs a very slight nerf, but I'm not sure exactly what to do on that. Second group of Minotaur great weapons are coming through, though. Just trying to cut their way through the Zangors, push them to the side, get in on the Mutalith Vortex Beast and start to wear it down. HP damage is already coming in. Got some spawn summons up as well from Morgur in this big angry blob here. That should help kind of poison things and provide some unbreakable stability, even if they are taking substantial damage. Yeah, Beastmen in general are having quite a bit of leadership issues, but the Tzeentch units are all taking significant damage as well, and especially these demonic units. As their leadership gets low, they will just disintegrate. Yeah, you can see the Screamers evaporating very quickly once their leadership gets low, and they get kind of strung out a little bit there. So now Kairos is being forced to flee from Harpies, which is never a good time. Tzeentch forces starting to get a little bit thin on the ground, and the Zangors, like the Beastmen that they're fighting, will have generally leadership issues as the fight starts to progress into later stages. We see the second spawn summon up right now from Morgur as well. Such a powerful spike in power, I guess. And it's, yeah, one of the spawn summons about to be gone, but like I said, the poison damage is also pretty good. Mutalith Vortex Beast has a solid amount of armor at 70. It's not too crazy, but definitely in a big surround, these monstrous infantry are just beating it down, and it's definitely having some pretty serious problems. Morgur himself, of course, not a pushover. 400 weapon strength, poison 55 melee attack. Not the best stats in the world, but he's not the worst either, and especially considering he himself is quite the tank. So we're going to see a duel of the tanks here in just a minute. Probably, as Morgar and Aekold stare each other down. Of course, for Beastman player here, I believe it's Loopy, is just staying committed. Yeah, actually finishes off the Mutalith Vortex Beast straight up. Wow, super cool death animation that the portal kind of opens up and it just like falls through. I don't think I've ever seen that before, actually. But anyway, as my voice once again cracks like a schoolboy, the Summon Manticore, second Summon Manticore going after Kairos here with the Harpies in support. It's actually really nice. It provides consistent pressure. And even if Kairos isn't necessarily taking a ton of damage, it does force him to move, doesn't allow him to just cackle up in the sky and do whatever he wants, have his way with your army. So yeah, now we see Aekold, legendary Sith Lord, or hero rather. And the big stinky goat gets in there. Got his rad man bun. Or Beastman bun, if you will. Ray Shaman's going to get in there as well as a second single entity, and Aekold's barrier is now down. He's going to start taking some real HP damage. Of course, he will be able to regenerate through quite a bit of that. So let's fast forward a little bit. The Summon Manticore is going to drop, and basically it's just Kairos getting chased around. Eventually he does come down and try and fight in this single entity fight to support Aekold. Aekold's doing quite well. Looks like he's able to dispatch the Beastman's caster. Lore Beast, Bray Shaman being sent packing. But Morgar in particular, with this little gore herd in us around, is going to be pretty good. Aekold, I don't know. It doesn't look like he's focusing his attacks into... well, now it looks like he is focusing his attacks into Morgar and actually doing some very solid damage to him. So let's see now. There's a few throwing axes here. Morgar's going to go ahead and just run away. Bravely tactically reposition there and try and allow the throwing axes to actually get some damage on Aekold, and likewise the Gores, as Aekold's trying to retreat, are getting free hits on him. Centaurs then move in. They've got perfect vigor, so they're great for this late game kind of supporting engagement. Even if they don't have any missiles left, right? They're kind of hybrid cavalry, if you will, in many ways, but Morgar's definitely having problems keeping up with anyone at this point. Yeah, Kairos just running around like a chicken with both of its heads cut off. Excuse me. It's coming down to it for sure. Kairos is just such a squirrely boy. Ever since Warhammer 1, Sarthariel, the original big bird in that game, was always very tough to catch, and looks like for the Beastmen here, Kairos is no different. But all that running away means Kairos is going to be taking free hits from the Centaurs especially. So with Kairos likely to go down here, that is going to cause some leadership issues for Aekold. He is regenerating this entire time, at least when he's able to be in melee. And if Aekold can get a few really good hits on Morgar, he could probably finish off his leadership, which would definitely lead to cascading army losses for the Beastmen. But let's see. Looks like Kairos, yeah, he loses his demonic leadership, finally falls, and now we have Duel of the Tanks. Handful of supporting Beastmen, but mostly it's just Aekold versus Morgar at this point. Although, the support, as mentioned, of the perfect vigor Centaurs is quite impressive, considering, I guess Aekold has perfect vigor as well, really, with this Breath of Life, healing him and constantly refreshing his vigor. So it's nice to have the Centaurs be able to equal that out. They can maybe soak some of the hits for Aekold. Looks like they're knocking him around a little bit as well. So very good stuff for the Beastmen, but let's see if Morgar can actually take home the win. Morgar's lack of AP damage is really going to come back to bite him heavily here, I think. So let's fast forward. And unfortunately, Morgar does not have perfect vigor. If he did, this fight would actually probably be pretty close, and Morgar might be able to just straight up win. As it is right now, they're both just whiffing their attacks on each other super hard. Yeah, Morgar gets contact a couple of times, but the armor, Aekold's able to help resist, and eventually Morgar just gives up, and Aekold actually does manage to tank it out. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Both sides. I mean, The Goreherd's dual weapons can be cost effective. I really wish they had an anti-infantry bonus and just more DPS overall to kind of differentiate them from Zangors. But definitely interesting to see them brought here. I mean, certainly Morgar carried quite a bit of value, especially with the spawn summons there. And the Manticore summons on paper, I like it. It's kind of pressure Kairos, but great job by Last Mohican, for the most part, keeping Kairos alive for the majority of the battle there. Beetleth Vortex Beast, although it was taken out, does still get an insane amount of value, almost 30,000 total damage dealt. It's just ridiculous. And then, of course, Aekold gets even more value on less total damage dealt, as he is able to dispatch a number of expensive lords and heroes. I mean, really relatively expensive compared to the rest of the build. And the rest just kind of supports as needed. The flying units have generally a little bit of a rough time here. Screamers are alright, but their low armor and low survivability in general means that, like, high shock units, like literally all of the Beastmen's roster, if they get charged while on the ground, they're likely to die very quickly. So something to consider there, but that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.